Hey, you've probably wondered how it has been time and time again that you've been stuck on these residual habits that kind of leak into your life and they poison you in certain ways where you realize that it is a either lack of character or a lack of some simple form of strength, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional, because of the fact that you held on to this habit or you don't have the required habit to improve that skill yet. So, what I'm going to cover is a simple 3-step guide that will allow you to input any habit or any action and being able to control what you actually do with your day to day life without your mind going wandering off or being unfocused and distracted. In order to do that, though, we need to understand a simple thing about habits is that they always work with inputs and outputs. So, an input, which is a thought or an emotion, leads to an output or an action. And if you were to take a certain input, you will always get a certain output. It is reality is like math in that sense. It is very simple to understand that you put in one thing, you'll always get this thing out, and it doesn't change. So, let me show you how this works. You're online scrolling through maybe for like an hour trying to find a good gym membership near you. You finally find it and you go to purchase the gym membership and your card declines. And so you try to do it again, but your card keeps declining. You go through the bank, you get your credit card reactivated. It's very simple. It was a minute error by the bank. And then you go back and you get your gym membership. Let's say that costed you an extra hour and a half of your life. Okay? Time is a cost, by the way. Just side note. But what happened there, if you noticed, was that you went to the bank to solve the problem of not being able to get a gym membership, which is telling you that you are definitely going to the gym because you had enough discipline and enough focus to say, I need to go to the bank, get my credit card problem solved, go back and purchase a gym membership. That is an input, right? That input was you scrolling online for hours and hours and finding that gym membership. Then you can take that input and turn it into an action where you know you'll be going to the gym at least once, if not probably consistently, right? Because I believe that there's a certain level that's required in order for you to go through something like that, where you have to go to the bank, to then go to the gym as well. You probably are going to go consistently. So, understanding that thoughts and emotions control the input, which controls the output. In this scenario, we'll stick with the scenario for this video because it'll make things simple. Your input was, or your thoughts were, I really want to get into a gym. I need to get into a gym. I need to get into a gym. Put those words into your mind right now. Go ahead. And now you're thinking about exercise. And now everything around it, you're like, it has a different tone to it, right? Because that different tone is including your exercise that's going on in your head. It's including that vision that you now have of that particular thing. So that is why the power of thoughts and emotions really empower the habits that you end up creating in the long term. And with that being said, hopefully you understand that thoughts and emotions now are the inputs which create the output action, which consistently will turn into a habit. And so what about a bad habit, right? What about one that we have? Let's say you drink alcohol, right? Like fairly consistently. Like bad enough where it's become a problem. Like a big problem. Okay? So in this scenario, we'll say your cue or your input is the emotion that you feel lost and the thought saying you should go to the fridge, you should go to the freezer, or wherever you store your alcohol, right? Then you go in there and you get your alcohol. But you have to understand, right? This will be step 2. You have to be able to observe and control your emotions. Now, what do I mean by observe your emotions? Well, what's actually happening is when you observe yourself, you'll understand exactly when this cue is to do a habit, and you'll be able to block it out. You'll be able to deny doing that habit because you're present and you're conscious enough to say, hey, I don't believe in doing this action. I believe in taking a different route for my life. So I do not want to drink alcohol. And as you begin to understand that, you'll notice a lot more of these cues in your life. So for me, I had a cue to do a particular bad habit this morning, right? I understood that I was in the moment there. I could process it and I could say, no, I am the one who's in control and I'm going to do something else today because that option was not particularly good for short term or long term. Boom, there you go. So, now how does one actually observe their emotions? Because it's one thing to talk about how to do it, but unless I have some sort of building block, some sort of skill that I could accumulate over time with a practice, I don't really know what I'm doing. And my best advice for you is meditation. If you get a habit of meditating, or at least get some experience in meditation, you'll understand exactly what I mean by observing emotions and observing your present cues in the moment. You'll be able to, I mean, it depends on, the more you do it, the more consistently and the more active it becomes, but you'll be able to sit in that moment and recognize that you're doing something and be able to switch your attention to something else, or to be able to switch the action entirely and maybe go into a different room if that's what's necessary. And that practice is very important for this 3-step guide, because if you don't understand how to observe and control your emotions, it'll become very difficult for you to actually change the habit itself, since that is where, in the present moment, that is what you understand is your emotions. You don't understand logic in the present. Does that make sense? Logic takes long. Apologies. Have you ever heard of the process where the fast response system is your emotions and the slow one is your logic? Well, in a present moment scenario like this, the fast one is always going to respond first. So what you have to do is, since your logic can't catch up, like literally on a mechanical level of your brain, your conscious can't catch up. Well, not your conscious, your logic can't catch up. You have to implement observing the emotion and then denying it with the logic then. Now, how are we capable of doing that? It's because when you look and you observe the emotion, you allow a window of time for your consciousness and your logic to catch up and say, hey, we're not doing that. And then you could change your action to whatever you need to do, or whatever you want to do, quite frankly. And that practice will really develop the idea of building a habit together. Now, we've been talking about some real life scenarios, but let me introduce you to one where it's more widespread, okay? A more widespread real life scenario. Everyone has to go to the grocery store, right? Now, let's say you go to the grocery store at a really inconvenient time, right? You have 2 kids, you're in a medium okay home, they have a concert tonight, and it's at 6, you go to the store at 5, so it gets really messy really quickly, right? Now, this is the question you might ask, how am I going to change the time of shopping so that way I can be at work and also meet my kid's concert, or get to your kid's concert, right? The first step would obviously be, well, you have to communicate this to your higher up, right? Because you're assumably working. But if you're a business owner, then cheers, you don't have to. But so go to a boss or contemplate yourself in your own work hours, whichever option you have, and say to him, hey, like, boss, hey, I don't know how I'm supposed to get to my son's concert tonight, but it's very important to him, and I don't really want to miss it since it's his first concert ever, and I want to be able to do my work still. So I'm wondering if I could just maybe leave early or if I could come in later so I can get my shopping in on one of those time periods so I can meet my son's concert. We'll say your work shift, by the way, is like, we'll say it's normally 8 to 4, right? 8 a.m., 4 p.m. Then your boss will probably be understanding and just say like, okay, I'll just take off a couple hours of like sick or whatever, right? And you can go do your thing. Boom. And now you have the logistical capability of doing so without getting fired or without getting yelled at in some way, shape, or form. So now, what do? You've got the logistics down, right? You took that hard action. But now that is added to your input because this is something that you went through in order to get that time that's necessary. So now let's say he said you could come in like an hour and a half late, right? 9:30. All right. Wake up at normal time, go shopping, get to work. Boom. That's like a simple thing that could happen in your brain where you can say, okay, I'll still wake up at, let's say 7. I'll still wake up at 7 a.m. But I need to wake up and get to the store, get back, get ready for work, and go to work. Okay. So now all it is just minute details that everybody can really organize and detail out so that way, you can actually get this done. And then you end up meeting your son concert and your son is happy and boom. Now you can all woo-doo-doo-doo-doo, right? Whatever. You're probably playing a shit song anyways, but like, hey, you know what? At least you got to the concert. So, with that being said, I hope this 3-step guide has helped you understand how habits work and how you can place these habits into effect, how to remove them, and actually I'll include this bonus part right now, and this will be how to increase your focus. Because in order to really do all this, you have to have a general focus that's beyond the attention span of like 0.2 seconds. So meditation would be a great start, again. And another good thing, which if you're more of like a biohack type of person where like you could just kind of do it with like a drug, not like any bad drugs or anything. Caffeine, right here, right? Caffeine allows you to focus on a higher level than the normal human capacity, right? Since it basically activates hormones in your brain that almost force you to focus. That's how I've been able to sit here for probably like 15, 20-ish minutes and record this video. Is because I have this focus where I can go, okay, this is the thing that I'm doing, right? This all really wraps around and helps you, the individual, to be able to do the many things that are going on in your life, And that extra little bonus tip of like focusing will help you with keeping that consistency. Now, I'm not telling you to drink 4 coffees a day. I'd rather you meditate 4 times a day because, well, I'm not quite sure how the body works in response to a shit ton of caffeine, so wouldn't exactly recommend it for everybody, but like I know there's obviously some people out there that can drink like 20 coffees a day or like 4 coffees a day. And then there's some people like me who can't really go beyond 2 because otherwise I just kind of shut my brains out. Sorry, that was a little TMI. But to wrap off this video, I want to say thank you for watching. And I hope this helps you, gain that extra step in front of the subconscious version of yourself, right? You're able to actually wake up for once and determine what actions you do throughout your day. So, thank you. Like and subscribe because, well, that's what you're supposed to say, and plus, I need it. And as always, we're here to help you help them.